It is a beautiful day in Austin, Texas. It is a beautiful day to get a fantasy football draft going. You know the drill. We're going to get a warm-up in with a $3 underdog draft. This is where I'd recommend you practice. This is where I'd recommend you get in some drafts, especially in June where we don't have all the information. Sadly, you can only draft 20 teams in this tournament. I've already drafted 17, so I only have 3 left. But we're going to get in regardless. There's another spot open in this draft room if anybody wants to join with us. And hopefully we get a good pick. But like I said, honestly, it seems like a lot of picks this year are all about the same. We're going to be in at 7. 7, sometimes you get like a really exciting fall. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe CeeDee Lamb makes it to you. But if not, you're kind of going to be stuck there debating between, do you take the upside shot on McCaffrey? Do you just go with safe with Puka Nacua? But regardless, I'm actually very fine picking at 7 just because we get to take the values that fall to us in every round. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out. And it is a beautiful Thursday. I'll say that for sure. We got Spencer in this draft with us at the 102. Happy to draft against you. Jason says, where's the sports coat? It is en route to Austin right now. I believe it's about an hour away. The lady had it. She was showing up to Austin a week after us. It's in one of the suitcases she has. So once that sport coat lands here, you better believe it's all business going forward. But the hoodie's in here at pick 9. Happy to have you. My God, happy to have you. Sean says, in a 10-team redraft, what position do you love picking at? I've not done a 10-team redraft draft yet. So if you get say you get pick 1, then you're looking at pick 20. So you can pair up Jamar Chase and possibly Bucky Irving. If it's a 10-team redraft league, I probably just want the highest pick I can get. So sadly, we do not get any falling values. We're going to be looking at McCaffrey versus Puka Nacua. I will take McCaffrey here. It's what I've been doing. Again, if I'm on the clock in the flock league at pick 7, I probably am going to play it safe. I'm probably going to go Puka Nacua over McCaffrey. And I wouldn't fault you at all in your regular redraft league to do the same. Specifically in this underdog tournament, however, I mean, it's a freaking $3 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $100K to first place, right? So this is about the same as a lottery ticket. What I'm trying to do is maybe just give ourselves a better shot at getting that top 0.0001 percentile outcome. And I think if we are chasing just the highest ceiling remotely possible, it probably is with McCaffrey, where we've seen him get up to 29 fantasy points per game in the past. We can pull this up. I know I always do it, but we can look at last season where Saquon Barkley rushed for 2,000 rushing yards. Saquon Barkley now on the Madden cover, just absolute monster, absolute beast. And he averaged 22 points per game. If you go through and instead look at what you had from McCaffrey, which I don't know if I have McCaffrey ranked at 7 in my rankings. Let me add myself here. Where do I have McCaffrey? I have McCaffrey at 10. I need to move McCaffrey up to 7 in my rankings. I haven't updated these. But you look at McCaffrey, we've seen him drop 29 points per game in an entire season. Last time he was fully healthy, he dropped 24 points per game. A decent difference in comparison to what you were going to be getting with the top end ceiling of Barkley. Now, of course, I'm not taking CMC ahead of Gibbs, Bijan, or Barkley. I just simply would prefer the floor that you have with the other running backs. But again, if we're chasing upside, $3 buy-in, $100,000 first place prize, I'm going to go with CMC. We're going to take AJ Brown here at 18. This team at 9 is absolutely insane. Puka Nacua, Ashton Jeanty as your first 2 picks. This is one of the best starts that I've ever seen in any underdog tournament. I am extremely jealous of this team at 9. Extremely jealous. And of course, if you wanted to get into any draft with us, whether it's a $3 buy-in, $25 buy-in, $500 buy-in, we're going to be doing it all over there on Underdog Fantasy. Again, they're really the only place you can be drafting in June, July, just simply because you're waiting for August to get here for your main redraft league. But these are best ball, so no time commitment at all during the season. So we draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I won a decent amount of money on Underdog back in the day. And if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the description or pinned to the top of the comment section where it just says draft with us here. Or you can scan the QR code on the screen. But regardless, if you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, on top of that, you'll be getting all of my 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheets. And you're going to be getting a free NBA pick'em. And Underdog is available in damn near every state. So you can see the map here if you wanted to know if Underdog is in your state or not. But Devontae Adams, JSN, both go. So we're going to get the receiver that we actually prefer in this range. We are going to get Tyreek Hill, where it is concerning that Tyreek's obviously an aging wide receiver, that you see the fall off, especially for a receiver that wins with speed. But realistically, with Tyreek, if we just get back to where he was 2 years ago, 23 points per game. There is an outside chance, definitely not a guarantee, but there is a chance that maybe last season was just a massive disappointment for Tyreek because he was injured and Tua was injured. And there's a chance that if both players are healthy this next season, we get Tyreek up at 21, 22, 23 points per game. So we have Scary Terry off at 33. AB says, what's up, Mason? Been watching for a while now. I appreciate the content and following the Flock League last year. How can I get in the league with y'all, fellow Texan? First off, you're a fellow Texan. You better be at the Flock meetup. I actually just reached out to the owner of where we held the meetup at last year. And I was like, hey, can we run it back? Because it was a perfect spot for the meetup. Flock meetup's August 17th in Austin, Texas. I'll be there. FSC guys will be there. I'm sure Sal will be there. Domain guys will be there. Land guys will be there. Hopefully you're there as well. Second thing is I haven't decided yet if we are going to open up that last spot in the Flock League to a viewer. I still need to get on a call with the other creators and see if they want to do that. We'll take Mike Evans. Very rarely are you going to get Evans to fall this far. Like a Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill combo is going to be extremely, extremely unique here. So I'm excited about it. I would prefer the team at 9. Like that team that goes Puka, Genty, Terry, Jaden Daniels is definitely better and definitely a lot more unique than our squad. Our squad kind of seems old and dusty, and we're just hoping that these players don't fall off or they can get back to where they were a few years back. But that team at 9 is something special. Eli says, I always miss these damn $3 drafts. I've been trying to hop in with you for a few weeks. I'm sorry, my guy. A-Rod says, who backed out of the Flock League? Nobody backed out. Everybody that was in the Flock League last year, at least that was like showed up on the videos, will be in it this year as well. So we have 3 developers who work on flockfantasy.com, which we should actually have a really exciting update coming to the website. Hopefully later today. I was hoping it'd be ready by this live stream, but it doesn't look to be the case. But there are 3 devs that work on flockfantasy.com. They were all in the Flock League last year. What we're going to do this year is we are going to combine those 3 developers and we're going to have them on one team. There are 2 spots open. One of the spots is going to go to the full-time editor that we have for the Flock League this year. The last spot, we are not sure who it's going to go to just yet. So Jalen Hurts goes 51. I absolutely love what that team did there at 3, going Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts at the turn. Obviously, I wish they didn't. I wish they would have given us Jalen Hurts at 55 to pair up with A.J. Brown. But I'm not going to fault them whatsoever for deciding to make that selection. So let's move this over. So what's this team ahead of us going to do? So what's really exciting is we can go George Kittle here very easily. Kittle should outscore all these wide receivers, and I don't even think it's remotely close. And at the same time, we have McCaffrey, so we can set ourselves up with a potential Brock Purdy double stack with CMC and George Kittle. Again, an issue that you may have with the squad. McCaffrey drafted in 2017. George Kittle drafted in 2017. Mike Evans drafted in 2014. A.J. Brown drafted in 2019. When was Tyreek drafted again? I think Tyreek turns 32 this year. Hill draft class. Tyreek was a prospect on nobody's radar coming out, so it's very difficult for me to remember where he was going. Tyreek was selected with the 165th pick in the 2016 draft class. So our team's old and crusty. I mean, I like it, but I mean, it would be preferable to hopefully mix in some youth, mix in some rookies with upside later in this draft. Now, RJ Harvey off 58. Drew says Team 4 is beyond cooked. Team 4 goes Lamb, Bucky, McBride, Hampton, Burrow. I like their first 4 rounds. The only issue that I have is like the Burrow picks makes no sense. Like I'm like the Burrow, you're taking him 8 picks ahead of ADP on a squad where you don't have Chase and you don't have Higgins. So like I hate pick 52 for the team at 4, but Lamb, Bucky, McBride, Hampton, I like that start. Drew says Worthy at 48. Is he falling? Yes, Xavier Worthy is falling, I think, for a multitude of reasons. One, there have been a lot of people coming out hating on Xavier Worthy. 2, maybe more importantly, Rashee Rice just looks like he is fully healthy. And it looks like Rashee Rice isn't getting suspended. And this hurts because Worthy is inside my top 5 most drafted wide receivers. So even if I still want to say I'm a Xavier Worthy believer, we can at least admit that I would probably rather have my players rising in ADP rather than falling. As if I wanted to make Xavier Worthy a top 5 most drafted wide receiver for me, it would have suited me a lot better to not draft him at all in May. And we're going to take another running back that was drafted in 2017. We'll go Joe Mixon at pick 66. We need another running back. I do still have Joe Mixon ranked ahead of Trevion Henderson. I have Joe Mixon ranked behind Alvin Kamara. However, at this point, and again, I think the squad just projects to score a ridiculous amount of raw points this next year. And I think based off the ADP values that we've gotten, like it would probably be impossible for you to replicate this team. Like challenge to anybody watching this right now. Go try to draft CMC, A.J. Brown, Tyreek, Mike Evans, George Kittle, and Joe Mixon in this tournament. It simply is not going to happen. Like, there's no way you can do it. So I think it's a unique team. I think it's a very well-balanced team. I think we have a decent amount of options for stacks later on. We can go with Purdy. We can go Baker. We can go Tua. Then we project out to score a ridiculous amount of points. The only thing that makes me not feel great about it is we have 5 players with a combined age of 320. Okay. Let's see. AWOL says because they're just hating on Team 1. Well, if that Joe Burrow team wanted to just hate on Team 1, you could still take Joe Burrow at pick 69. You don't have to take Burrow at 52. Ollie says, his team's insane, honestly. I haven't been able to get Mixon to fall to me much. Yeah, I mean, our team's, like I said, there's no way in hell you could replicate this in underdog drafts right now. Like, good freaking luck. I would just, like, if we could have got, oh my gosh, Trevion Henderson pick 77? If I would have got Trevion Henderson at 79, we're going to go Matthew Golden. We need some youth, and at the same time, taking Golden gives us the optionality of getting Jordan Love later on. But if I would have got Trevion Henderson at 79, GG's. GG's. Atik says Mixon's been falling a lot today. Let me pull up my exposures with Mixon. How much Mixon do I have? I think the only fast draft I've done today off the live stream is I did 1 eliminator draft. Maybe I did 2. I at least did 1 for sure. And that was a draft that everybody was just fading the guys that aren't going to score points early in the year. So like Jordan Addison fell like 30 picks past ADP. Ayuk fell like 20 picks past ADP. Pretty sure Godwin fell like anybody that wasn't a good projection for week 1. Fell like crazy. I don't remember if Joe Mixon fell. How much Mixon do I have? I have Mixon an 8.1%, so I'm right on average with the market on Joe Mixon. Okay. Yeah, I wish this was not only a Best Ball Mania, I wish this was a $500 draft. Like, this is a beautiful start. Ayuk goes 86. And we have such a well-balanced team through the first 7 rounds that we can kind of do anything here at 90. Trey Harris goes 87. What the hell? I have no idea what I hate this team, to be honest. The Bo Nix team. I'm sorry if you're in this live stream, but I hate your squad. We're going to go Pollard, and if Pollard goes, we'll go Baker. We're not taking Mahomes, Hawkinson. Baker goes. Baker was going to be the play for us because obviously we had Evans, but the team that has Godwin just scoops him up. So we'll take Tony Pollard at pick 90, one of the last starting running backs still on the board. Should be an improved offense as well. The only other starting running back on the board right now that you know is the starter is Brian Robinson, who goes immediately after. In terms of like Mahomes as an option, we have no Chiefs. Worthy's gone. Rice is gone. We could set ourselves up with Kelsey on the following round, but not the highest priority for us. Maybe if like Pollard was gone, Baker was gone, then we could have looked at Mahomes. But we'll see. Jake says he had Chase fall to him at 2 in a draft today. Okay. Ren says, did you see Keon Coleman drop 60 points in a basketball game? I did not. I am so bad at basketball. Keon Coleman. Let me look this up on Twitter and see if I can find anything. Yeah, Keon Coleman dropped 60 points in a celebrity basketball game. Looks like they're 50-year-old women playing in this game. I don't think this matters. At least based off that one shot. It looks like that's kind of gone. The dunks are pretty cool. I'll give them that. No, the 50-year-old woman's just the announcer. Never mind. No disrespect to either her or Keon Coleman. Okay. Kyler goes 99. Dak off at 100. So Purdy's for sure in play for us at 103 when we have CMC and Kittle. Jaden Higgins goes. Or we can just say F it and take Mahomes and get the points. Mahomes goes. God dang, Igbuka's a good pick as well. We could pair up Igbuka with Evans and go, what if Godwin's not solid? Which is what we're going to do. If you wanted to play it safe, you would take Brock Purdy here. Like, we're for sure now risking it with quarterback, going with Igbuka instead. But us getting Igbuka, pairing him up with Evans, especially on a team where we already discussed, like, if I see an issue with it, it's that we have a bunch of old crusty dudes. And I don't necessarily think that we are going to be able to find a ton of upside in weeks 15 through 17. I think Igbuka and Matthew Golden possibly give us an out to find one of those elite rookie breakouts in the second half of the season. And again, it can work out a couple different ways. One of the ways that it can work out is maybe Godwin just isn't the same guy after the injury, which, based on how many teams I've drafted Godwin in, I hope he is. But it is what it is. Okay. Vinny says Mason dominates in the French pickup basketball leagues. I appreciate that, my guy. I appreciate that. Yeah, if y'all did not see the Iron Man vlog last year, we had a good little pickup basketball game with some random French guys. Guys, I mean kids, and they dominated me. Yeah, my basketball prowess is I'm not going to be good, but I'm at least going to give you a lot of effort. I can say that about pretty much everything I do. I would say I'm not really good at anything, but you're not really going to find... You're not going to find many people that will try as hard as I do at many things. Like, I am the definition of a tryhard. I think we're going to get Purdy on the way back around to pair up with our guys. This team has Caleb and Jaden Daniels. They're done drafting quarterbacks. This team clearly cares about stacks. They go Baker and Godwin. They don't have any Niners. So, Jay Jarrett. Yes, we're going to get Brock Purdy to pair up with our Niners. Purdy with CMC and George Kittle. And I'm sorry, this is the best team I've drafted this year. We'll see what the second half looks like. But now, quarterback, we have Baker double stacked with Kittle, CMC. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Matthew Golden, Igbuka. Running back, we have CMC, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard. We have George Kittle at tight ends. We are not weak at a single position. Not only are we not weak at a single position, but I would say that we are. And this is like maybe the only time I've ever said this in a draft through the first 10 rounds. But we are strong at every position. And that's what I've done 150 drafts so far this year. And this is our best. ETN asking if we have any regrets not drafting Baker. We got sniped on Baker. We were considering taking Baker at 91. I'm sorry, at 90, and Baker went at 89. So I'm not reaching on, like, Baker is an ADP of like 92. I'm not taking him at 79. Okay. Drake May, JJ McCarthy both go. Let's move this over. Madre off 123. Couple different interesting things we can look at 127. I don't want to talk about too much until we're on the clock. Cam Scatterby goes 124. Javonte off. Let's see. Do we just take Jonnu and go for a Tyreek, Jonnu to a double stack? Here's what I'm doing. I'm either going to take Jonnu or I'm going to take Love. And now that we get the falling Jonnu value, I think we take Jonnu, call it a day with our two tight ends of George Kittle, Jonnu Smith. We pair up Jonnu with Tyreek. We take Tua later on. Again, I don't think Jonnu's getting dealt. Maybe I'm wrong with that. But Teek says, how did that Genty team end up? Yeah, the team that got the crazy Genty value went Puka, Genty, Terry, Daniels. Love it through the first four. Then Rome, Olave, Pacheco, Aaron Jones, Caleb to pair it with Rome, ETN, David Njoku. So I love the team at 9 as well. Love the team at 9. I do think our squad probably is a little bit better, if I'm going to be honest. But they definitely have a great team. Hoover asking how we think Kittle will do this year. Like, let me just pull this up on the site real quick to show y'all. And again, I want to make sure y'all know this is free for y'all if y'all ever wanted to see it on the site. Like, if you're ever on the rankings page on the site, you can literally just click on any player, and we have it formatted in a way where you can see a bunch of advanced stats and at the same time just get everything very easily viewed for you. Like, you can see their yards per route run, yards per target, target share in their offense, whatever you want to see. But since 2017, or let's just say since 2018, the worst season we've had is 12.7 points per game. He was the tight end 1 last year in points per game. The only real concern that I'd have with him is he's pushing 32 at this point. Okay, Ray Davis goes, does the Jared team have any Packers? They don't. So there's a chance we get Love. John in here with the creatine. Up the dose. 10 grams. Soldier out here. Soldier. But we are going to take CJ Stroud at 138. We're going to go CJ Stroud. We don't have any strong correlating pieces. We just have, say, Joe Mixon. I would have clearly preferred to get Jordan Love. But we should be able to get 2 on the way back around. Reason being is, let's just go ahead and peep this real quick. But the Jalen Waddle team already has Mahomes, Goff, Justin Herbert, so there's no way in hell they can take another quarterback. The Devon Achane team is on the other side of us, and they have Baker and Jordan Love. Who knows if they'll take another QB or not. So, pretty confident having both Tyreek as well as Jonnu. That we'll get Tua on the way back around at 151 for our third QB. Taking CJ Stroud, maybe we just get enough points to advance this next season. And then we hope that we have the spikes from Purdy and Tua with the Niners and Dolphins offenses in weeks 15 through 17. TT Warrior says, I'm likely the oldest here. Been taking creatine since 93. I've been taking creatine since maybe 2017. The only time I didn't take creatine is there was like maybe 6 months or so where I'd convinced myself that the hairline was going and that I was balding because of the creatine. So I stopped creatine for like 6 months. Then I realized it's probably not balding from the creatine. It's probably genetic. Okay, so I think we're going to get Tua on the way back around. Yeah, we get Tua. Not going to play any games. Not going to try to see if we can push Tua to the next round. We get our third quarterback. We have too good of a team to play cute with it. We have too many values elsewhere to feel like we need some crazy Tua value. So, God, this is a good team. Why is this only a $3 buy-in? Why is this the warm-up? Why is this the mock? Running back, CMC, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Tyreek, Mike Evans, Matthew Golden, Igbuka. Tight end, George Kittle, Jonnu Smith. Quarterback, Purdy, Stroud, Tua. Offenses we are betting on. The Niners with CMC, Kittle, and Purdy. The Dolphins with Tyreek, Jonnu, and Tua. The Bucks with Evans and Igbuka. And the Texans with Joe Mixon and CJ Stroud. This is beautiful. Grim Fate says, started hair thinning at 18 after I started creatine. Stopped ever since. Chat, let me know real quick. Does creatine make you bald? Action Kev says CJ was a terrible pick. I agree to disagree. Who am I going to go with instead? The big Q? I want quarterback points. Raphael says, this team is only good because Vinny isn't in this draft. That is true. Ollie says it can. Brian says it does not. Okay. Obviously, I'm a sample of one of one. But hairline's not the best, and I've been taking creatine for a while. Do with that information for what you will. Barack says, how unique do you think Saquon and Ladd is? I'd imagine very unique. Okay. Roshan off. We are going to take Romeo Doubs, pair him up with Matthew Golden, and maybe make one consolidated bet. What if Jaden Reed's dust? What if Jaden Reed gets traded? What if it really is just Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, and two wide receiver sets? So, pretty easy pick. Surprised the team right before us did not take him, considering they sniped us on Jordan Love and they didn't have any Packers. If I were them, I would have taken Romeo Doubs. Teague says he started Saquon and Ladd 6 hours ago. Trust me, I know creatine's the most researched supplement ever. I know it. King Rubes was taking it in the womb. Nick says, Mason, do you think the three quarterback narrative is propaganda or real? So you've probably seen me for a while now, especially in the higher stakes, smaller field contest. I'll mix in a third quarterback, even if it's unstacked, just to have the points to advance. Kind of like what we do here with CJ Stroud. I think it's very much like case to case. Like if I'm this team right before us that goes like quarterback at 102 and 115, I'm probably not taking a third quarterback at 126. That maybe seems a little too rich for me. If I take Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, I'm never taking a third quarterback. If I go quarterback 52 and pick 100, I'm not taking a third quarterback. But like in our instance, where our first two QBs are picks 114 and 138, I'm for sure taking a third. So Sam Darnold off. Good for us to see the quarterbacks go once we already have ours. We will take whatever running back falls between Braylon Allen and Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright goes. I was probably going to prefer Wright because we're making the consolidated bet on Miami, but we'll take Braylon Allen here instead. Doesn't really matter. Vin Steve says, Mason, what's your body weight and your bench? Full transparency, my bench is probably very sad right now. I was training for the Ultra, so we had not been lifting weights very often. However, I'm back to doing my pull-ups and push-ups since we've been in Austin. Now, if you want to talk about glory days, before I was running and doing triathlon stuff, you can go to the first video on this channel. It's me doing the NFL Combine for hitting 10,000 subs. And I benched 225 for 12. And I weighed like 162 pounds at the time. So there's video proof. First video ever on this channel. But what it would be right now, I don't know. Probably very sad. Okay. Yoshi Vosh goes 181. So we were just running back and wide receiver, right? We're not taking a third tight end when we have Kittle and Jonnu. Like if it was the eliminator, then I would. But here we're optimizing for the highest ceiling we can possibly get weeks 15 through 17. Mason Taylor goes 183. So if we're looking at our fifth running back, like I don't necessarily think we need the floor of like Justice Hill. I think you can swing for a guy that may just be injury insurance in DJ Giddens because we already have like Mixon, CMC, Pollard. So we have a lot of these like old crusty guys already. Okay, we're going to go, we'll take Michael Wilson as our seventh receiver. I almost want to go with the sixth running back. I'm not going to do it, but I almost want to. Okay. But Bobbert benches 315 for 12 at 120 vegan natty. Here's a random thought that I've been wanting to throw by y'all. This is like the random thoughts that I'll tell people in real life. Is it just me? And maybe it's just I'm further removed from college, where college it was a bigger thing. But is it just me, or are there less vegetarians and less vegans now than there used to be? Like, what do y'all think? More or fewer vegan/vegetarians in the year 2025 in comparison to, say, like when I was in college, like 2019? What are you thinking? Vinny says, depends where you live. Brian says, the carnivores killed them all. So yes, it's more. Vinny says, in California, they're everywhere. Nick says, less vegan, more vegetarian. Z Millie says, it's a really expensive lifestyle. Teague says, the gluten got to them. Bunch here in DC. Lee says, you were just in California. Should have seen him. I'm talking about more online. Like, I just don't see anybody really talking about it. We'll take DJ Giddens. If I was going to draft... Actually, no, we're going to take Miles Sanders because Miles Sanders wasn't drafted a bunch in this tournament. So we'll go Sanders, who is in play to be the starting running back week one for the Dallas Cowboys. Miles Sanders is a bum, but Javonte Williams is a bum, and Jaden Blue's a bum. It's a backfield full of bums. Might as well take the cheapest guy. Utah Sports says, there is more. You just don't see them anymore living in the best ball streets instead of on campus. That's probably the right answer. I just didn't know if it was like me being in my little bubble or it's like when you're on campus, especially like if you're on campus in like downtown Austin, there's no little bubble you can get in. You get exposed to absolutely everything. Or now that I'm removed to that, I guess I'm just probably in a little bit like a little bubble where I don't know anybody who's vegan or vegetarian. Keaton Mitchell goes 203. I almost like somebody let me know in the chat, running back or wide receiver for our last pick. Running back, we have CMC, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard, Braylon Allen, Miles Sanders. We probably should go with the receiver. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Matthew Golden, Igbuka, Romeo Dobbs, Michael Wilson. We'll for sure go receiver. We got wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, wide receiver, receiver, receiver. Z Millie says plant-based chicken does actually pop off, though. The only thing that I've had that you could consider like vegan or like I would assume is like a regular vegan staple is last week my girlfriend, for whatever reason, decided to get cauliflower chicken wings. And I had one of those and it tasted just like a regular chicken wing. Not going to lie. Tasted just like chicken. It tasted more like a chicken wing than it did cauliflower. Like if you would have given it to me and told me it was a chicken wing, I'd have been like, the sauce is good, but it tastes a little weird. Like it tasted very similar. Do I just want to take Amari or do we need to stop being an idiot? We'll take Amari. Probably a wasted pick, but it is what it is. Apparently we are a bot because we don't take Roman Wilson. But let's move this over and let's hop in a BBM. We have 87 BBMs left. We are picking right next to Vinny. So probably not going to have the same draft we did in the last one. We got Kale in here at pick 12 as well. Eagles is always in these drafts. Lee Watley is always in these drafts with us. I think the team at 1 is usually in the live stream as well. Tex is in here at 9. Ollie, are you letting me know? Are you in here at 7? Alex in here at 6. Appreciate y'all drafting with me. And let's try to make this as good a team as the last one was, but probably not possible with y'all in here. But I don't know how it is where y'all are living right now, but and maybe I was just like mentally preparing myself for the absolute worst. However, I am pleasantly surprised with how nice it is in Austin at the moment. Okay. Chase, Jefferson both go. Barkley off. We'll take Bijan. We don't have a ton of them. I feel like I'm almost underweight Bijan because I'm never reaching on him to take him over Jefferson or Barkley. So like the only instance I really get Bijan is here, like in this exact spot. But let me confirm if that's true or if I'm just pulling random crap out of my butt. But it seems like I don't draft a lot of them. It's funny is it looks like I have Bijan in 9.3% of my drafts, but I've not taken him in any high stakes drafts. So only $99 of entry fees. So percentage wise, I'm not underweight, but dollars spent wise, I 100% am. Malik Neighbors goes pick 8. Nico Collins off at 9. Connor says, Mason, how much exposure is too much? We talked about this yesterday, but just depends how many drafts you're doing, what your comfort level of risk is. I'm a drafter where you saw in the last draft, if I have a player that falls like 15 picks past ADP to me, and I don't just absolutely hate them, they're not Marvin Mims, they're not Jaden Blue. If they fit my build, I'll probably just click them. And you'll never see me reach, unless it's a player that just signs where their ADP really isn't accurate, like J.K. Dobbins. You'll never see me reach on a player that, like, I'm never reaching 15 picks on a player past ADP. So for me, my exposures are pretty flat. Like, I don't have anybody in over 20% of my drafts, which is a rule that I've had for myself over the past, 3 years, and it's worked out pretty well. But if you're only going to say, every situation's very different. I'm sponsored by Underdog. Y'all come to these live streams, so I'm able to hop in 400 drafts a year. You're not in that situation. So if you're like, hey, I'm only going to throw $20 on Underdog this year, I'm only going to throw $18 on Underdog this year, I'm only going to do 6 $3 drafts. Who the hell cares if you have 100% of a player? If you go, in round 18 or round 17, DJ Giddens is my favorite pick, I'm going to take him in round 16 in every single draft. If you're only throwing $18 in Underdog drafts in the season, you can kind of go 100%. Doesn't matter. Y'all know I don't take any Jonathan Taylor, but I don't like Higgins. I don't like Wilson. We'll try it. We'll take JT. I'm underweight Jonathan Taylor in general. I know Rashee Rice going to Vinny here at 20 maybe seems aggressive, but in reality, I'm completely fine with anybody taking Rice at 20. Now, if you were to go through and if you were to take Rashee Rice had a Bowers, Achane, Henry, Ladd, London, AJ Brown, that ain't for me. If Bowers sneaks into the mid to early second round, I'm done drafting him. 0% chance. But pick 20 through 30, they're all the same. I'm not taking Harrison here. I'll take Tyreek. Very boring start. Very boring. Zach says you don't like Higgins. I like Higgins just fine. I'll show you my exposures of Higgins versus Taylor. The thing is, I'm underweight Taylor. I'm probably overweight Higgins. But for me, when I'm doing a lot of these drafts, I know I'm never really going to get Jonathan Taylor in round 3, and there'll be a lot of drafts I get T. Higgins there. I have T. Higgins in 11% of my drafts. I have Jonathan Taylor in 6%. So I have almost double the T. Higgins exposure than I do of JT. Again, there's a chance that in this draft, T. Higgins fell to us at 28. There's no way that Jonathan Taylor would have fallen to us that far. I think that they're all about the same in this range. So we'll just take him. Sauce Royale says, Christian Watson round 18 is a steal and saying he's bound to get a 70-yard touchdown sometime. Is he going to play this year? Let me see. What's the update to Christian Watson? Somebody in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Christian Watson's playing this season. Yeah, I don't see anybody talking about Christian Watson at all. Slosher says, round 18, Lazard for the win. Ollie says, could be back by midseason. Yeah, I'm not taking Christian Watson in a single one. There are a lot of round 18 guys that I see people pumping that I'm like, I'm never drafting you. If he has a chance to be back in the second half of the season, no thank you. Maybe if Jaden Reed got dealt. I'm going to take Devonta Smith here over Travis Hunter. If we go Smith at 45, we have a realistic shot at getting Jalen Hurts at 52. And I think that's probably one of the better outcomes that you can have here at the 4-5 turn is to go Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. I think you can make an argument that Smith is possibly, I'm not saying that he is. I think it's a flat tier. I think you can make an argument that Smith is a better wide receiver option than DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Jameson, Ted McMillan, Xavier Worthy. And it opens us up to what I perceive to be one of the best values at quarterback with round 5 Hurts. So Jalen Hurts goes pick 50. Sucks to be us, but we'll mix it up. Zay Flowers goes. Haven't taken a lot of them. We need a receiver, though. Realistically, you can make an argument, go Jalen Waddle over George Pickens because you have Tyreek. You already need Tua to be healthy. You already needed this to be an above average offense when it comes to the passing volume. But I don't know. There are going to be some drafts where we get Jalen Waddle in the late 5th, and we're never really going to see that price point for George Pickens anymore. Teague says, in that position, do you take Hurts or do you reach on Burrow? If I'm that team at 2, I do neither. If I'm that team at 2, I try to get Joe Burrow at 71. Realistically, I'm not just saying this because I was the team wanting Jalen Hurts. I'm just saying this like realistic, like what I would do is I would sacrifice Jalen Hurts. I would give Hurts to, realistically, my team. And then I would look at the board and go, well, the squad that has Chase and Chase Brown is on the other side of me at pick 1. So there's a damn good shot to get Burrow at 71. So if I was that team at 2, I would not have taken Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't have taken Joe Burrow at pick 50 either. I would have passed on Hurts. I would have taken him at 52. And then realistically, you only have to dodge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different teams taking an unstacked Burrow to get Burrow making it back to you at 71. Yeah, Burrow at 71 happens all the time. Lee says Team 1 is throwing $25 at us. Team 1's definitely interesting. Like, I don't mind going with the bully tight end strategy of McBride and Kittle, where if you just think that in that range they can outscore the receivers. But if you're going to go like McBride and Kittle, I don't know if you can also take Chase Brown and Amari Hampton. Like, I think it's probably going to be very difficult to only have one wide receiver through the first 5 rounds. Booty Madon, happy to see you out here. My guy, happy to see you. Hope you had a good offseason. Let's smooth this down. Maybe some people would go, oh, this team sniped us on Jalen Hurts. I'm so mad. I'm going to snipe them on Joe Burrow. I'm not doing that. If they want to take Burrow at 71, they can. I'm not taking an unstacked Burrow myself. Connor goes 67. Vinny. Oh, God, I hate drafting next to Vinny. What the hell am I supposed to do here? We'll go Quinshawn. The guy that I think is probably going to rise to be ahead of like all these other players in ADP is DeAndre Swift. Like, DeAndre Swift just keeps moving up boards. See, like that team that took Hurts in round 5, they could have just had Joe Burrow here instead, which they passed on Burrow. So it looks like the Chase team's going to get Burrow at 72. Stephon Diggs, Ricky Pearsall. What does Dr. Goose do? What's going to be available for us on the way back around at the 8-9 turn? We're pick 93. So I'll be over here. I'm going to try something that's probably... No, you can't do that, Mason. You can't do that. We're going to go Matthew Golden. I wanted to take Caleb Johnson. But realistically, we go Caleb Johnson. We put ourselves in like an awkward spot where you've invested so much in a running back that you may be incentivized to go with the hyper fragile builds, which I'm not trying to do that. So I only want to draft 5 running backs here for sure. So if I only want to draft 5 running backs, I probably got to give myself some more space between our next pick. And I just am done drafting Deebo Samuel. No part of me wants Deebo. Like even Vinny, who has Jaden Daniels, passes on Deebo at 77, which if I was Vinny, I probably would have taken him there. But Vinny was saying, LOL, I was saying out loud, Mason can't take Caleb. My lizard brain wanted to. My lizard brain wanted to just take Caleb there. But Thomas says you want Trevion Henderson over Judkins. Of course I want Trevion Henderson over Judkins. But Trevion goes at 64. Trevion Henderson is just going to be at a much better offense than Judkins is. Drew says Vinny played us like a fiddle. Yeah. If I would have gotten Jerry Jeudy at 69, there's a chance that we could have even gotten Judkins at 76. Jake says, thoughts on bully tight end? I just started Lamb, Bowers, McBride. I think if you're going to make bully tight end work, going like Bowers in round 2, Kittle in round 5 is probably an easier outcome to make it work than Bowers, McBride. Tight ends in round 2 and 3, that type of investment, I don't know. I just think it's almost unnecessary. It's like kind of my same sense on going bully QB. Do I think you can make like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson work at the 3-4 turn? Probably not in comparison if you were just going to go like, say what Vinny did the other day in a draft. Vinny got Lamar in round 4 and Jalen Hurts in round 5. Like if you're going to go quarterback, rounds 4 and 5 seem more reasonable than like rounds 3 and 4. Tight end rounds like 2 and 5 seem a lot more reasonable than 2 and 3. Call says, has Mason shown the parlay for today? If you're referring to the Underdog Pick'em slip, I can show you that, my friend. I just tailed the FSE guys. I don't know if this is the exact one that they did, but I hopped in their live stream earlier today and they were just looking at like the odds of things and I kind of listened to them and made my own thing. We're going to take Hawkinson. We need a tight end. And at the same time, we need to set ourselves up with some different quarterback options later on. And with Hawkinson here, we put ourselves in a spot where we can go McCarthy. But here's what we did for the Pick'em today. I'd only really recommend this if you have the 90% extender profit boost token, which is what we have. So we have McConnell for higher than 4.5 assists, Jalen Williams, lower points, rebounds, assist, Obi Toppin, lower 1.5 3-pointers made, Pascal Siakam, lower than about 40 fantasy points. And then, we flexed this. So we only need 4 of these to hit. If all 5 hit, our $30 turns into 543. If 4 hit, then I think our $30 turns into like 120 or so. So unlikely to win it for sure whenever you have a 5-player pick 'em, but I'm definitely flexing it so we can still win even if we only get 4. None of these quarterbacks are really in play for us unless we wanted to go Bo Nix and try to get Evan Ingram in the next round. I don't want Fields. I don't want Scadaboo. I don't want Harris. We're going to take Kelsey and we're going to call it a day at tight ends. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. If this was like a draft a month ago, I would have taken Bo Nix because if you looked at the Evan Ingram ADP a month ago, there's a good shot that we would have been able to get Evan Ingram at 117. But with how drafts have been trending, Evan Ingram's ADP has crept up to 107. So we're very unlikely to get Evan Ingram in the 10th round if we were to try to go with an unstacked Bo Nix. So we'll take Kelsey. I'm never going to sit here and make an argument. Oh my gosh, Kelsey's some great value. We need to all be drafting the tight end in his mid-30s that just saw a massive fall off with his efficiency and total fantasy points. But I don't know. Okay. AJ says, how would you split up your drafts with $100? So again, and yes, we sniped Vinny on Kelsey. I'm sorry, Vinny. I'm sorry, my friend. My stance typically for these underdog drafts, and of course it's different for everybody, and it's very different for me. I would not recommend anybody to do what I do. The only reason I can do what I do is because of y'all. Y'all hang out with me every single day. So that allows me to get sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, and that allows me to just throw a ridiculous amount of buy-ins into the wind. Obviously, I'd never recommend anybody to follow my lead unless you're Jeff Bezos. But I'd recommend you go, hey, I have $18 to spend on underdog drafts this year. I have $100 to spend on underdog drafts this year. I have $3,000. I have $10,000. It's going to be very different for every single person watching this. One, figure out the amount of money you want to spend on underdog drafts. Money that you're fine if 100% of it goes away. Two, figure out how many drafts you want to do. Because for me, like, I want to be able to go to the gym every single day, and while I'm on the Stairmaster, I want to be able to do a draft because it makes the time go by fast. And I would do the mental math of going like, hey, I have $100 and I want to do about 20 drafts. That means you should probably stick around that $5 buy-in. Or, hey, I have $25. I only want to do one draft to warm up for my main fantasy football draft. Then hell, you can get into Best Ball Mania if you want. Or, hey, I'm going to do about $3,500 on the underdog this year, and I want to do about 150 drafts. Cool, you can max out Best Ball Mania. So we're going to take Najee Harris here at 117. Our team's not good. We can't take another tight end either. We get sniped on Dak. Dak would have been our preferred choice, obviously, with us having George Pickens. We can still look at Tua later. We can still look at Jordan Love. We can still look at McCarthy. But quarterback's not looking super strong for us. But Poger says, how many entries should you fire in a BBM minimum? Again, like, this is all about, like, it's up to you personally in your own situation. So I would figure out, how many dollars do I want to spend on this? How many dollars am I comfortable losing? How many drafts do I want to do? Kind of divide that, figure out, oh, okay, we're going to take Jordan Love here. I think all the other running backs, wide receivers are kind of whatever. And we are just desperate for a quarterback. We have no quarterbacks yet. We have Matthew Golden. So Jordan Love somewhat makes sense. So figure out the amount of dollars you want to spend on underdog drafts. You feel comfortable losing. Figure out the amount of drafts you want to do. Say like, oh, I want to do one, like, if I wasn't streaming, right, and I was a normal person, like in this hypothetical scenario, I'm not streaming, I'm not sponsored, I genuinely love underdog drafts, and I would do them regardless. So what would I do in that scenario? I would tell myself, hey, what they're most valuable for me on is when I got to kill time. So when I'm on the Stairmaster, if I'm on this stationary bike, I want to be able to kind of just do an underdog draft every single day while I'm on it. And for me, if it would be like, hey, I'm fine spending $500 on this year, then I could do some simple math. Okay, I'm going to be wanting to draft kind of every single day, about 2 drafts a day. I'm going to be drafting for about 100 days. So I want to do 200 drafts. I have about $500 to spend. Then hell, I probably need to just stick it to the $3 drafts. So it really just depends on you. Nick says, if you have $1,000, maybe worth it to do 2 big dogs because of the amount of entrance, etc. So like, I would not view it that way. I completely understand the argument. And it is true that like you can go through and you can look at every underdog tournament, and every underdog tournament has like a different amount of rake, right? Like here, Best Ball Mania, the rake is 10.8%. So that means out of like $100, underdog's going to take $10.80 from the pot. If you look at the big dog tournaments, the rake is lower. I think underdog has a rake of only like 7%. But I wouldn't look at like the structure of the tournament or the rake that's in it and try to optimize for that and go like, oh, I have $1,000. I'm only going to do 2 underdog drafts this year. It gives you about an hour and a half of enjoyment if you decide to do it that way. Thank God we went with TJ Hawkinson. We needed another quarterback. We have McCarthy as the option here to pair up with Hawk. If we didn't go Hawkinson, we wouldn't have had that ability. And yeah, hopefully we see some tight ends go at the turn. The tight ends are the best values if you look at ADP. The issue is the team here at the turn already has McBride and Kittle. So they're not going to be able to go with the tight ends. So we may not see that many off the board by the time we're next off. Poger says, has anyone ever won BBM on just one entry? Do you know? I don't think anybody's ever won BBM because if you think about it, I know Liam, Herzeg, Corraine, like kind of 3 content creators that go mass volume have won it. And then like 2 randos. And I apologize if I'm calling you a rando. You kind of get what I'm saying though. We're just going to reach on Tua. This is not a good team. This is no bueno. But so there are like 2 other people that have won it. I don't really know who they are, but the probability that 2 other people who have won it have only done 1 entry is probably slim to none. Now I know what does happen all the time is I think there have been people to win puppy tournaments, which is kind of like Best Ball Mania, that have done it off 1 entry. I know there have been people that win, not weekly winners, battle royales, like the weekly tournaments Underdog does every year. I know there are people that have won a battle royale that have only done 1 draft ever on Underdog. They do 1 battle royale draft, they win it, and I'm sure maybe after that they do some more. But I know that. I don't think with BBM it's ever been won off somebody who only does 1. Okay. Yeah, we need wide receivers horribly bad. Like our team is at quarterback. We have Jordan Love paired up with Matthew Golden. We have McCarthy paired up with Hawkinson. We have Tua paired up with Tyreek. Running back, we have Bijan, Taylor, Judkins, Najee. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek, Devonta Smith, George Pickens, Matthew Golden. Tight end, we have Hawkinson and Kelsey. So we're going to take 1 more running back through the rest of this draft, and the rest of it will just be wide receiver. I don't think it's the worst team in the world. I just don't think it's anything special. Utah Sports says Farhid won in 2023. He max enters. He is a truck driver from Vegas. Mean Muggin says, honestly, you probably shouldn't even do BBMs if you don't plan to max. I would disagree with that. Again, my main thought process with this is like, I don't see any difference. And I know we had this argument early in the offseason of me like saying I'm not maxing any puppy tournament. Like when a puppy tournament's out, whenever I want to do a draft, I will get in some puppies. We just need to start taking these crap receivers. I don't want to take McMillan. We'll take him anyway. Need to take him in some drafts. But like, I don't view things being that relevant at all in terms of like maxing. Like last year, the only drafts that I maxed were Best Ball Mania and the Sprint. And if I didn't have the stream and if I didn't have like the Underdog sponsorship because of y'all, there's no way I would have maxed either. I would have probably I still would have done a lot of Best Ball Mania drafts. Don't get me wrong. Like I would have had to be more selective about like the drafts I could do or couldn't do. Demario Douglas goes 169. I wanted Douglas on the way back. We're going to take Thielen or Michael Wilson. I'm not taking Alec Pierce. I don't know why, but Alec Pierce is just not interesting to me. Even though, yes, I get it. He had a crap ton of spike weeks last season. John says 2 Dog Bowl qualifiers in each year did it on 1 entry. The legend Al single bulleted a $50,000 battle royale. That is insane. That's what I was saying. I don't think anybody's like done. I knew there had been winners of like battle royale drafts that had done it in just a single one. But I want to say there's been a puppy winner as well that's done it. But I don't think there's ever, I know for a fact there's never been a BBM. Nicholas says 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. Doesn't interest you. Michael Pittman Jr., no broken back this year. Josh Downs, high-level target earner. New quarterback. Tight end they just took inside the top 15 picks. And Adonai Mitchell going into year 2. So maybe I'm just stretching it, trying to find reasons to not like Alec Pierce. Maybe I should just be drafting him regardless. Maybe it's because Michael Pittman Jr. is like my most drafted wide receiver and why I'm telling myself that Pierce isn't the guy I want, but Dimey Brown goes 186. Okay, we are just running back and receiver, and we can only take one more running back. So the thing is, like, we look at this range of running backs, and it's like, oh, we got a bunch of guys, but we can get any of them on the way back. But honestly, we're at the point of the draft where, like, all the wide receivers are just dart throws anyway. So we'll take the falling value with Dowdle. And then we will just grab 2 bum wide receivers in round 17 and 18. Okay. Let's see. John says Mason is jacked in real life. Drew says, fun fact, I didn't know Mason was 6'4" until I met him. I've said this on the stream before. Did you not believe me? Ollie asking how his team is at 7. Let me make a selection at wide receiver here, and then we'll go check out your squad. Our team, what our team would need realistically, we need a couple different things. But at the very minimum, what we need is Tyreek Hill to be the wide receiver 1 overall this season. We'll take Dontavian Wicks for our second Packers receiver. But let's check out Ollie's team at 7. He went CMC, Achane out the gate. I really like it. Then obviously playing catch up at receiver. JSN, Metcalf, you get boxed out at wide receiver round 5. So you go Chuba, then Jennings, Mooney, Cup, Trey Harris. Yeah, you got boxed out of wide receiver round 8 too. Pittman and Igbuka were both off. Trey Harris 103. What were your other options here? I know wide receiver is very limited, but like, would Caleb or Bo Nix been in play for you? Not particularly. Purdy to pair up with CMC. And Njoku, Mims. If you knew you were going to get Mims 138, I probably would have preferred like Bo Nix 103. Then Bryce Young 162. Did we have a Panther, or are we just going to go with some guys late? Hunter Henry, Dimey Brown, Zach Moss. Yeah, once you go Bryce Young 162, I guess you're just praying that you get Adam Thielen on the way back. I like the team. Don't get me wrong, I don't love it. But I like it. But like, I'm not going to sit here and say I love my team. Like, my team running back, we have Bijan, Taylor, Judkins, Najee, Dowdle. So I think we have a ton of running back production. Quarterback, we have Love, McCarthy, Tua. Love double stacked with Golden and Wicks. McCarthy paired up with Hawkinson. Tua paired up with Tyreek. Quarterback, I think we're going to be fine. We have enough points at QB. Tight end, we have Hawkinson and Kelsey. Decent tight end room. Wide receivers where we don't have enough points. We don't have enough upside. Tyreek, Smith, Pickens, Golden, McMillan, Michael Wilson, Dontavian Wicks, and some other bum at 213. So the reason I don't think our team has a shot to win BBM is I don't think we had enough wide receiver value. Okay. So Taj Brooks goes, and we're just taking another bum receiver. We'll take Jalen Tolbert. Pair him up with Pickens. Go, what if there's more passing volume than people are expecting in Dallas? What if something happens to Lamb for the final 3 weeks? And also, realistically, I've wasted a lot of money on Tolbert already. I probably shouldn't do this, but we're going to get in a BBM. We don't have too many left, which is why I'm saying I probably shouldn't do this. But it is what it is. Yeah, technically we did not have 250 likes, but in reality, I got time for a stream. I don't want to say what I was going to say. I don't want to say what I was going to say. We have a brutal draft here. Kale is, of course, right next to us at 11. Eagles is in at 10. Draco's in at 9. Pikachu at 8. JD 7. Lee Watley at 6. Teagan at 5. This is Murderer's Row. We got Albie in at 3. Brett in at pick 2. God. This is not going to be fun. Like, no lie. Seeing the room we just entered, I probably shouldn't have gotten in another draft. We probably should have called it a night. Okay. Yeah, no Vinny. That is true. My Vinny blocker has, I guess, finally turned on and started working. So Chase, Barkley, Jefferson, Lamb all go. No big surprises. Bijan off at 5. Assume we get Gibbs at 6. Yeah, Gibbs goes at 6. I don't think we're going to see any big surprises. This will be a spot where we probably have our hand forced, where we're going to end up having to like reach on somebody at 13 to make a unique combo. Maybe I'm wrong with it, but that's what I'm expecting. Okay, CMC off at 9. Genty goes 10. See what Kel does. Never mind. He goes Nico, so we can get a unique combo by just clicking the top guys. We go Neighbors and Brian Thomas. Not going to act like this is the most unique start in the world. It's at least more unique than Brian Thomas, Nico Collins. For that reason, we'll just take both of the year 2 ascending wide receivers. I've seen Brian Thomas falling down draft boards more than these other wide receivers going at the 1-2 turn, which I think, if anything, it's interesting given the recent reports with Travis Hunter possibly not playing as much offense as we initially thought. So Timothy says he only has 3% JSN. Is that a mistake? Let me see one first. Let me check how much JSN I have. 2, let's pull up the JSN profile. But first, let me see. I would imagine that we're right in line with the market on him. JSN, I have a 9.9%. I haven't taken him in any $500 drafts, however, so if you look at our entry fees wise, we're probably underweight. If you look at Jackson Smith and Jigba, I honestly expected people to be a little bit higher on him going into this season, just because obviously great prospect coming out of Ohio State. I mean, this was my favorite stat that we always talked about in Dynasty in the 2023 rookie class, where we just pumped the hell out of JSN, claiming that he was some top-end elite level prospect. And just to keep it stupid simple, what I looked at is, this JSN character, as a true sophomore, was the wide receiver 1 at Ohio State, ahead of Garrett Wilson, who was a junior, and Chris Olave, who was a senior, and Marvin Harrison Jr., who was a freshman on the team. So JSN, then he gets the round 1 draft capital. Absolutely phenomenal prospect. Face plants in year 1. Year 2, the counting stats look great, right? 100 receptions, over 1,100 yards, wide receiver 9 in total points. However, if we're looking at this from a per game perspective, it gets a lot less exciting where he is actually the wide receiver 20 from a points per game perspective. I'm not going to sit here and act like I think Geno Smith's some great quarterback, but smart people are saying that you do have a downgrade from Geno to Darnold. Who am I to argue with them? But I mean, I've taken him more than I've drafted. Like, maybe, let me pull this up. I'm taking him a decent amount in the 3rd round. Like, I have him in 9.9% of drafts. I have Devontae Adams in, I guess, a much higher per dollar spend, but I've only have Adams in 5.6%. Like, I prefer JSN over Adams. General rule of thumb. Round 1, top level prospect that you can see the strong breakout in year 2. Ascending player stepping into his prime. Has a real shot to be the wide receiver 1 in his own offense. So in the middle of round 3, I prefer JSN over Devontae Adams and Terry McLaurin. So I'm slightly overweight on him. But I completely understand anybody wanted to go Adams over JSN. Terry, I may be a little bit less understanding. Okay. Chase Brown goes 30. Team at 5 potentially is the running back 1, tight end 1, and QB 1. So we have both of the elite quarterbacks going a little early in this draft. So we're not going to get a shot at either. Terry McLaurin off as well. I don't want to say anything until we're on the clock. Like I said, I know at the very minimum Kale's in this live stream. Brees goes 34. Not going to lie. That's what I wanted. Adams off. We're going to keep it stupid simple. We'll take Kyron and Evans. Definitely wanted Brees. It's interesting to see 2 separate teams in this draft go 3 running backs out the gate. You have the team at 2 going Barkley, Taylor, Jacobs, and the team at 10 going Genty, Achane, Brees. Let's see. Justin says, Mason, you're such a babe. Remember the hotel stream last year when the internet went down, legend? Yeah, so that was like, so from a business perspective, the most important week for me by far is the 2-week stretch. The week before the season starts, that's probably the most important. Second most important would be the week right after the season starts, week 1, right? And we did a live stream that Thursday night, like leading into Thursday night NFL kickoff. And as soon as I hit like in stream, thank God I did, by the way. Like, thank God it didn't happen 30 minutes before. It happened 30 minutes before, or an hour before, or 2 hours after, I'd have been screwed. But like the second the game started, where I turned it off, was getting ready to watch the game, my Wi-Fi cut out. I have like AT&T fiber, like I have a fiber line, and the I guess somewhere in our neighborhood, like the fiber line got cut. So I had to like last minute scramble, because we're doing a live show after the game, recapping everything. Have to like move everything that I have into like the nastiest Airbnb you could imagine that's available that night, because I just need an Airbnb in like 10 minutes, you know. Move everything there, stream there, come home, hope that in the morning it's going to be back up, and it's not. And then I had to go live in like an Airbnb for like the first week while I had no Wi-Fi. And I would just like, at that point, like the first week of the season, I'm legit working like 18 hours a day minimum. So I'd like roll out of this like stranger's bed, like walk over to the jankiest little setup that I have, like in the living room, kitchen combined area. And we got it done, but it was definitely like a fever dream. It was very much like I stayed in this little room. It was at the Domain in Austin, if you know where that's at. So like it's like a little shopping area where you can walk around. You can go to like little restaurants. So I'd just be there, into stream, like open up Uber Eats and be like, all right, I'll pick up that. Walk downstairs, walk over to like Doc B's, pick up dinner, come back, watch the game, eat, and get ready to stream again. Waddle goes 58. We're not getting any exciting picks in this draft. Ridley off. Trevion Henderson's going to be one of the picks. After that, I don't know. I'm not a Rome guy. We can go Godwin, pair him up with Evans, and go, what if the passing volume repeats in Tampa this next year? So that's what we're going to do. We will take Godwin and Henderson together at 60 and 61. I'm definitely a lot more willing to reach and go get our guys when we're picking at the turn in comparison to like some of the drafts where we're in the middle. You can go back to like the first draft of the stream where we picked at 7. Outside of us, like in a couple one-off instances, reaching 1 to 2 picks, like down the ADP board. A lot of times I'm like, oh, this guy just fell 15 picks, auto pick. Oh, this guy just fell 15 picks, auto pick. Where you can kind of do that in the middle section of the draft when you're at like 5, 6, 7. Like pick 12, especially in a draft like this, you're not really going to get that kind of opportunity. So like if I can just look at my rankings and go, yeah, RJ Harvey consistently goes ahead of Henderson. Hell, I'd rather have Henderson. Just give me the player I prefer. Okay. Fuji says, I went on a public ESPN draft and someone was named Flock Fantasy's #1 fan. I drafted Trey Benson and the Big Q in their honor. That's hilarious, my guy. Wait, you're saying you saw somebody random in a public ESPN draft named Flock Fantasy? That's crazy. John says Dean's Steakhouse. I know you recommended Dean's Steakhouse, but ooh, the girlfriend sent me this post on Instagram of all the steak deals in Austin. Oh, this is funny. Fuji Apples, I just pulled up Instagram to check my girlfriend's DMs to pull up that steak deal in Austin thing, and I saw your message there. It's funny. Where can I find this? God, did Instagram move things around? Here we go. Yeah. So if you live in Austin, here are the steak deals that we got. Texas Chili Parlor, $19. Ribeye, salad, fully baked potato, all day on Monday. You better believe I'm there. Tuesday, Little Darlin. That doesn't look that good. Wednesday, Murray's Tavern. Steak with $35. Not that good of a deal. What else we got? A bunch on Thursday. Nickel City. I think we've been there. Lewis, Casino El Camino. This is everywhere. Ooh, Violet Crown. That's a movie theater we go to. Steak with smashed fingerling potatoes for $30. Ooh, go to a movie, eat a steak. Pretty good setup. Justin says, had all you can eat Wagyu in Vegas, $50 for diamond tier. Crazy cattle. I've been to, okay, I'm going to look up Dean's real quick, John. Dean's, Austin. Where I'd recommend if anybody's watching this, that's going to go somewhere in Austin. Not the bougiest place. Nice, don't get me wrong. But not like what John looks like he's sending us to. This place looks bougie. But if y'all been to Austin Land and Cattle, that place is pretty good. Happy hour, you can get some good deals. Okay. Here, Mahomes not really in play. We could reach for Baker to pair him up with Evans Godwin. I think at the minimum, we're going to take Ayuk. And then I think F it. Let's just reach for Baker. We have Evans Godwin. I'm not wanting to take any of the Giants receivers. Giants quarterbacks to pair up with Malik Neighbors. So we're going to reach on Baker, get him paired up with our Bucks. And this is one thing I noticed on the Underdog Pick'ems that kind of scared me off of like any possibility of round 18 Jackson Dart. And I'll say like the Underdog Pick'em projections, y'all know I always say like, hey, Vegas knows more than us. Vegas knows more than us. Vegas knows more than us. Like, let's never think that we're going to get an edge over them. Let's just take them as if they're the most accurate things ever. If you're ever going to find something that's not the most accurate, I would say it's the season-long NFL pick'em projections on Underdog. And the reason for this is I just don't think there are enough dollars that go into them for Underdog to care to make it accurate or not. And of course, I'm talking out of my ass here. I could be completely wrong. But like, for an example, and I think sometimes they may be, and of course, I'm just spewing nonsense. This could be completely off base. But I think, for example, they like will make some players like have such a bad projection, maybe to get people excited to go and like check out pick them. Like they have Chase Brown higher, lower, 5.5 rushing touchdowns, 849 rushing yards. Like compared to just a running back that goes 3 rounds after him, like Kamara kind of projects out similar. Looking at like Kenneth Walker projects out that like a better rushing stat line than Chase Brown. So like, I'm not sitting here saying like, hey, the NFL season projections on Underdog, they're as accurate as like looking at a week 6 over under or spread of an NFL game on like a sports book. Just because there so much more money goes into it that they like have to make them very accurate. But anyway, when I was looking at this the other day, one thing that made me just go like, okay, I'm not taking this guy in any drafts. It's like they have Jackson Dart higher, lower, 4.5 regular season starts. Now, maybe it's inaccurate. Maybe you want to go with the higher, but in reality, this just kind of tells me, yeah, I'm not drafting this dude, even if I have Malik Neighbors, even if it's a round 18 pick. So, Quids has been hammering the season longs, hedging my fades. The times, maybe I need to look at this a little closer, and I probably will when you get closer to the season. But the times that I've really looked at those Underdog season long projections in terms of like not just trying to get some draft advice, like, oh, should I take Jackson Dart there, and seeing that and go like, oh no, I'm scared off of him. But like in terms of me going, ooh, do I want to put money on this? Is I only look at the lowers on the season long. Okay, the girlfriend just gasped at something. That did not sound good. Like just in case a player gets injured. Kale doesn't have any Niners, so I think we're going to get Purdy to pair up with Ayuk. And then I probably prefer ETN over Scatterboot. God dang it. I don't want Andrews here. Y'all know I'm not a Scatterboot guy. I haven't drafted him a bunch, but we'll take him. Purdy's the easy pick to take Purdy and Ayuk together. But yeah, whenever I look at those like season long pick'ems on Underdog, I think we all collectively have a bad like time thinking like, oh yeah, of course this player is going to get to 1,200 receiving yards. And you don't really think like, oh, what happens if they just miss a month of the season? What happens if their quarterback just misses a month of the year? So like I would like, and of course I'm never going to pretend that I'm some like expert and I know everything about this. Like, I would personally never recommend any of y'all to go and like immediately go, oh yeah, Jamar Chase easily scoring 12 touchdowns this season. Like, when I'm looking at these NFL season longs, I'm mainly trying to go for the lowers if I am doing anything. Just because if I can find something where I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think that player should project that highly at all, regardless of injury or not, and then you go with a lower on it, then you could just have the bonus upside case of what if that player does go down. It's cool. This is maybe the first time I've ever seen Underdog have like the playoff game started higher, lower. Like Rodgers playoff game started higher, lower 0.5, 1.25x multiplier on it. I've never seen Underdog do that before. And maybe they did it last year. I think that's probably the first year, though. Is there anything here that's super interesting? Hawkinson's higher, lower 3.5 receiving touchdowns with a lot of juice to the higher. I know I just said like, hey, we don't want to take any hires on this, but that does seem crazy to have juice on the higher there. What's been Hawkinson's historical TD rate? Every year he's been healthy, he's had at least 4 receiving touchdowns. Outside of his rookie season and this past year coming off, obviously this past year he had 0, but still. The dude played like 47% of the snaps. He only ran 224 routes. Loveland goes. Let's move this over. We can definitely take a third quarterback. I probably would prefer not going with a third quarterback here, 132, because we reached on Baker at 85. But we can if we really want. If we're looking at quarterbacks that could be in play for us, we could go Herbert and then the big Q. We'd have to reach on the big Q, but y'all know I've taken him over Mims in Hollywood before. McCarthy, realistically, not in play. Neither is Stroud. I don't like Tootin. I don't like Marvin Mims. I'm kind of fine with the other. God dang, we should have thought about this more. We're not going to. We're not going to take Herbert and then reach on the big Q. We'll be boring about this. We'll take Tucker Kraft and Tajay Spears. If I wasn't drafting with y'all, there'd be a shot that I had the big Q fall to us in the following rounds. So maybe I would have rolled the dice on a Justin Herbert pick. Or if we would have got like Baker Mayfield at 108, say we would have taken like Brian Robinson at pick 85, and then we got Baker Mayfield making it down to us at 108, and we didn't reach on him, and instead we got him at that value. I would have been a lot more inclined to go with the quarterback at 132, thinking we could have afforded it. But in my mind, it's kind of hard to justify us being able to afford a quarterback at 132 when they don't really fit our build anyway. Data-Driven Dynasty says, if you're curious about that Chase Brown projection, I did a whole video breaking down why I did not project well for the 2025 season. A lot of number crunching, but it paints a pretty clear picture. Appreciate it, my guy. Black Suit says, Mason, did he fall for the Jack Best trap? Let me pull up my exposures. I have Jack Best in 5.5% of my drafts. So he is my lowest owned Raider, very underweight. I'm not running out there and taking Deontay Thornton or anything. But yeah. Jimothy says, thoughts on the wide receiver 84 and ADP on Underdog? He's the truth. Let's see. You piqued my interest. Dante Thornton? Okay, that's what. I'm not taking him. I don't think he's a great prospect. If we're still getting the positive reports in August, sure, I'll take him in round 16, even if he gets steamed up a bit. But I don't think the offense projects well. It's a day 3 wide receiver in a bad draft class. Bad wide receiver draft class, that is. Where there's a 0% chance he leads his team in targets. Vinny says, Mason, even though these last 2 drafts were tough, at least you won 100K in the Schnauzer with your first one. That is true. That is true, my friend. Okay, Isaiah likely goes 151. I think, oh God, this freaking sucks. Sucks. Jalen McMillan goes 152. Eckler 153. I was going to take Stafford. God, I hate drafting with y'all. Even Gino goes now. It's either we don't get a third quarterback or we reach and take. We're just not going to get a third quarterback. Take Pets here 157 and Jaden Blue as well. It's funny is I think we made that video. Jaden Blue was like my second least drafted running back, calling him a bum. And since then, he has fallen so much in drafts that I think I'm becoming in line with the market on Blue. Never mind. I'm still very much underweight. Still only at 4.9%, but slowly but surely creeping up. Because again, like previously, this dude was going, what? Like 2 to 3 rounds before this. And that was before you had Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins signing. So Raphael says Blue is sexy. I've been mixing him in. Like I said, I think that if anything, he's more appealing now than he was before we made that video. Because the veteran running backs have signed. He's still the same guy. It's still the same backfield. Now we get him 2 to 3 rounds cheaper. And you have fewer veteran running backs that could sign with Dallas to just completely nuke him. I'm still underweight, like I showed y'all. But Isaac Guerindo's also just been a massive follower in these drafts. Like I would say the Jaden Blue and Isaac Guerindo's ADPs, they're completely fake. Aaron says, yeah, there's no need for a third quarterback with the QBs you have. Again, if we would have got the value on Baker at pick 108 rather than us reaching on Baker at 85, I feel that it probably would have made the most sense for us to take a third quarterback. And if we get a third quarterback at a value, we may still do it. But the issue is when we reach on Baker there at 85, we already have such an investment into him, Evans, and Godwin that realistically we really need Baker to, I don't want to say replicate exactly what he did last season, but he has to be pretty close to it if we want to have a shot to win BBM. Okay. I think we can go with the 6th running back if we don't take the third quarterback. No matter what, we have to go with a third tight end. That's the one thing we do now. We need a third tight end. I don't want to say much until we're on the clock. Yaseki goes 178. We're going to take Rodgers. Rodgers, we can get an easy Steelers receiver around 17, 18. Jalen Knowles' ADP is fake. He's a big-time faller. We need another tight end. Cade Otton gives us the Tampa Bay Bucks onslaught. So we'll take him. Then looking at the squad. So similar to the last draft we did, I don't think it's a good team. I don't think it's a bad team. I think it's a whatever team. I think it has a chance to advance, but I don't think it has a chance to win the actual tournament. Quarterback, we have Baker, built around an entire Bucks onslaught of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Cade Otton. We have Purdy stacked up with Ayuk. We have Rodgers, who will either take Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson at 204. Tight end, we have Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts, Cade Otton. Running back, we have Kyron, Trevion Henderson, Scadaboo, Tajay Spears, Jaden Blue. Wide receiver, we have Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk. Like, we have two wide receivers that may just be duds through the first month of the season if they don't come back earlier than expected. So, like, it's an awkward spot in that I don't love our wide receiver. Like, I don't like our wide receiver room enough to be excited about it only having 6 names. Like, I feel like I want to push the 7th wide receiver here, especially with Godwin and Ayuk on the same squad, both potentially starting slow. But at running back, we have Kyron, Trevion Henderson, Cam Scadaboo, Spears, Jaden Blue. So realistically, Kyron may be the only running back scoring points for us in week 1. So it's a team that, like, I feel like if we had a 19th round, I could feel very good about if I could draft 2 more wide receivers and 1 more running back. But no matter how you cut it, I feel like we're going to be slightly underweight at one of the positions. Like, I think we can go wide receiver, and we have a great wide receiver room. I think we could go running back, wide receiver, and we have a wide receiver room that lacks some firepower, but we have a good enough running back room. But Two Shot says, if this draft wins $2 million, I'll get Fantasy Flock tatted on my forehead. Somebody please screenshot this. And if you don't, I'm going to have to call the YouTube authorities on your ass. I'll tell you that much. Miles Sanders goes 200. I'm going to probably take the 6th running back. It's going to be a 3-6-6-3 build. Realistically, I think it can advance. I don't think it can do much more than that, though. Kareem Hunt goes. Kareem Hunt's the running back I wanted on this team. I wanted somebody that could give us some points early. We know we're going to take Roman Wilson to pair up with Rodgers at the very minimum. Do we just mix in Mostert? You go, what if this dude scores a touchdown or 2 early and keeps our hopes of advancing alive? I don't think I've drafted him on a single build, but if I was ever going to take him, probably a team where we pushed running back where 3 of our 5 are rookies. We'll take him, and it just makes me feel that much worse about the squad. In fact, we're drafting a 36-year-old running back. It's not actually 36, but pretty damn close to it. But here's the team. I don't love it. Not a big fan. Again, I will show y'all that pick'em that we did. I would genuinely recommend this if you are using the 90% profit boost extender. Now, full transparency, here's been our pick'ems lately when we've been using the promos on Underdog. Back to back, if you tailed us, you would have lost, which I apologize for. And more likely than not, you are going to be losing this next one as well. But if you win, we can win big. So I'll show y'all what it is for anybody who is interested. Like I said, the scenario in which I would recommend you tail this is if you have the extended 90% profit boost, just like I do, and that's why we're looking at it. This is the same app that we're drafting on Underdog Fantasy, of course. It's a $30 entry, 554 if all 5 are right. If only 4 are right, we win like 120, something like that. But here it is if you're interested. And of course, I am hoping that the Pacers win tonight. That way we get a game 7, because then we get a 100% profit boost on Underdog. But I think that's all I got for you. Really appreciate you. Of course, we're going to be streaming tomorrow, the next night. I'm be streaming every single day. Really hope you draft with us. If you don't want to draft right now, at least go take advantage of those NBA promos that they have going at the moment. You can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the description, comment section, live chat. Use promo code FLOCK. You'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You'll get a free NBA pick'em to add on to that. And you'll get all our 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheets. If you wanted to be on Underdog, here's the map of where you are allowed to draft. They're in Texas, they're in New York, they're in Florida, they're in California. But I appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I'm going to go get dinner with a lady and hope I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow.